movies for black girl nerds.
Thank you so much, Diego, for your time. This is a very exciting series. Not only do you get to serve as the title character, but also as executive producer. So with those dual roles for this project, how has that made you better in portraying Cassian Andor and just the overall process of completing this season?
Well, it's been an amazing ride. Thank you for the interview and the space. I'm really happy to talk about this series because I've never felt part of something like this deeply. I've been part of the process since it started, since it was just an idea, and being part of it as an executive producer gives you the opportunity to follow every step of the process and really own this. Like when I get to set, I understand why I'm interacting with what I'm interacting. I know the team perfectly. I know their decisions, what made us choose this and not that, and as an actor, that is something I'm always looking for. As an actor, you're invited once the plane took off. Once the flight is already happening, and you're dropped in, and you go like, okay, I'll join the team. But here I was part of the building of a team, and it's a lovely experience. Also because I enjoy witnessing the process of others. I learn a lot from watching, and here I also had the opportunity to give my opinion in the process, which makes me feel very responsible for what audiences are gonna watch. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. If I spend 4 years of my life working in something, I have to own it. It has to be mine as it is from others. And
Mhm.
and I was lucky to work with amazing people, from Tony Gilroy, who's the lead in the show, and a fantastic writer, very, very, very talented man. That is, his material is always so complex and so full of substance, that for an actor, there's nothing like having something like that to work with.
Absolutely. What was very powerful to me is just I've had an opportunity, the privilege to watch the first 4 episodes, but it was the language is how does a person like me sneak into they're fat and they're arrogant and they don't notice, and that's so metaphorical for life. Usually they say the squeaky wheel gets the oil, but in this case everyone is so busy distracted by other things they don't notice. How does that set the tone for the season, as we know it's a prequel to the events of Rogue One, but the shaping of Cassian, that language is very powerful.
I think it's very powerful, and that's where you find out, like, there has to be something else there. We're gonna meet the character in a moment where he doesn't believe he's capable of what he will be doing, and we shouldn't either. But those signs, those moments, of how he sees life, he does see a change. He does see a possibility. He sees the crack. He understands that there might be a way to stop being part of this system that would never allow him to become something else, that wants him to stay there, that is marginalizing basically most of the people. And I believe it's Star Wars has always been a great tool to make comments, and it's always I guess not just Star Wars, but science fiction is a great tool, for reflection. It's when you start a story saying this happens in a galaxy far, far away. It's a great tool to say stuff about you or myself, that if I was straightforward, it would feel very personal. But because this happens in a galaxy far, far away, you might be able to you might be wanting to listen. And I think this story makes a lot of comments on the world we live in today. Cassian is a character that is forced to be somewhere to move. You know, he's a refugee. Since Rogue One, you know, no one speaks with the accent he has. Therefore, where is he coming from? You know, what had to happen for him to become that man, to feel part of that family, that community, to share those ideals? Where that's what this series is gonna tell you. You know.
I love that. I love that. That struck me so strongly. Why, thank you for your time. It's a marvelous series, and I can't wait to see the reactions. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much, Genevieve, for your time. This is such a marvelous series, and I love how Star Wars continues that tradition of using sci-fi to kind of hold the mirror up to social commentary, the haves and the have-nots, and layers of people and their own humanity, and Andor is no exception. So now we get to spend more time with your character, who we first met quite a while ago in Revenge of the Sith, and now focusing more on her. How meaningful is it to you to see this character come full circle, have more light shined on her story, and continuing to branch off Star Wars into a new frontier for new fans?
You know, Mon Mothma is such an important character within the Star Wars universe. She has been a really important kind of pillar of the rebellion from way back in Return of the Jedi, when Carolyn Blackstone played her. So she means a lot to fans. And so for me to be able to be a part of fleshing out that character and looking and creating her not just as a pillar or a statue or a regal or noble woman, but also the woman behind that, to be able to look at what she wrestles with, what her passions are, what her private life is, what the cost of raising your voice is, as a female within what would no doubt be a very male-dominated imperial senate.
Mm-hmm. A moment ago, when I was speaking with your castmate Denise Gough, she discussed how what was intriguing to her about her character is that it's really about how power corrupts her character, whether you are male or female or however you identify. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. So being on the flip now and bringing more color and texture to Mon Mothma in a different way, does that kind of shade her differently? You know, she's always been so depicted, like you said, as a pillar. How does this now shade her? Is she still as noble as we always perceived, or, you know, how does that change the audience impression of her, of a character that's so beloved?
I think this is a great question. I think nobility has many facets. I think we have to be careful about assuming that nobility is a pillar. But I think what is wonderful about the opportunity to play this woman in Andor is, within Tony's writing, he's really shifting what is good, what is corrupt, what is compromise, where do we all have to move and shift to affect change where we can within power structure? Where can you, as a woman with a voice which is antithetical to an emperor, a dictator, how can you use your voice? How do you use your voice? How limited is your voice? So therefore, where do you have to move? Where do you have to compromise? None of us are perfect. And I like that within Andor, everybody has to work within compromise. Everyone has to wrestle not only within the structures around them, but also within themselves. These characters are multifaceted. They're confusing at times. Sometimes when I was reading the script, it was so wonderful to see how textured different characters were, to feel myself lean into the characters that are maybe supposed to be shady, or maybe be surprised about which ways characters might turn. Because when you get to the sharp end of the stick with a rebellion, when you're forced to make choices, you have to choose. That's not always going to be an easy choice, or for want of a better word, a correct choice. We all make the best choices we can in the moment we have. And sometimes we are forced to choose sides, and you just hope that you're on the right side.
That's all you can do. You can hope you're on the right side. This series is marvelous. Everything, the landscape, it's really, really beautiful. And I thank you so much for your time. I'm very excited to see the fan reactions and diving deeper into all of these characters. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Take care. Thank you so much, Jeandra LeBeauf, Black Girl Nerds. Thank you guys for your time. I super duper appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Jeandra, but please tell me the name again. Black Girl what?
Black Girl Nerds.
Yes,
Nice.
Jeandra, I'm loving.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
brilliant.
we are here for this. We are here for Andor. This is right up our alley. And just keeping in that tradition of using sci-fi to communicate social commentary, the haves and the have-nots, the gray area and that exists between choosing between those two worlds. And Andor just really does a wonderful job of that storytelling. With the two of you, both of your characters are sort of on the law side, I guess you could say, from what we have seen so far. And that is compelling, because even within that, there's layers of how far you're willing to go to stand for the machine, and where does it infringe on your personal responsibility and your humanity, or if we are humans, or and it explores all that. So beginning with you, Kyle, how does that with Syril fit into that? There's never a good and a bad. We all have layers of what makes us ourselves. So how does your character sort of feed into that?
I'm just going to send you a whole bunch of love right now. That's beautiful.
That was like exactly everything we've been trying to
get
tell
across.
people all day. You just did it in
that
was amazing. Thank you so much.
So I think Syril sits in that in a very tender place. He's an outsider. A lot of what this series is exploring is different outsiders on their paths of trying to feel part of something, of becoming their best or worst selves. And I think Syril is really struggling from his place of darkness, which is his point of energy. And what he uses, his drive, is actually darkness, unfortunately. And he is hungry for power and order, and he would probably make a very, very competent fascist. He's kind of primed in that way. I say he's an outsider, but he's done that from his own making, actually. And in Cassian Andor, and someone who is breaking the rules, he finds an obsession with and almost a purpose in becoming obsessed with Cassian. And then in his failures of trying to capture him, coming across Dedra and finding a new purpose, and this is the order that I've been seeking. This is the control I've been seeking. And so, yeah, I think that's where he's coming from.
And for you, Denise, for Dedra, there's even the added layer of femininity, maintaining that, being a woman within these kind of convoluted systems that are stripping you of humanity. How does her character's journey continue within that as well?
So for me, it was so important, the fact that I'm a woman playing this part. to show the lengths to which somebody who feels othered will go to have control in something, even to their own to the detriment of so much. Like, this is not a woman who's trying to raise other women. This is a woman who is literally out for control because she doesn't come from a place where she had any control. So she's exerting that in her adult life now. And as a result, loses all sense of any sort of compassion or empathy or any of that. And I was really interested in how we can set up at the beginning that you're sort of behind her because you're like, she's a woman in a man's world, and you want to get behind the feminine and say, she deserves to, but then you remember she's in essentially a fascist regime. She wants to go to the top of a fascist regime. It stops being about whether she's a woman or not. It's simply about what power does to a person. And so for me, it was really important to show that a woman has all of that capability of becoming quite poisonous too. That that the idea that we're somehow that we have to tell stories of a woman who's always going to be redeemable or sweet in some way. We have just as much capability of becoming the torturers as anybody else does, and that's what that kind of having that kind of power with nobody reining you in, what that can do to a person. I'm really enjoying and find it to be a huge, it's a responsibility that I have to really go into the dark of that and not apologize for it so that we all feel better about the girl, It's like, no, fame and power and control corrupt all people.
Anyone,
exactly.
What's the saying? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Whether you're male, female, other, however you identify,
exactly.
Power corrupts.
Exactly.
Well, I thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Awesome series. It was such a pleasure. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Nice
thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.